My dear, loyal brothers who are students of the Risale-i Nur, I am forced to explain a truth in relation to an objection made by an elderly man about a matter we never imagined in a way that harms the weaker students of the Risale-i Nur and to put an end to the principle behind such objections. I will repeat here what I previously said to another person. How bewildering and unfortunate is it that, while the people of truth waste the extraordinary strength in unity and become defeated as a result of this loss, the people of discord and misguidance, although it goes against their method, unite with one another in order to acquire the significant strength attained through unity. And despite being 10%, they defeat the people of truth who constitute 90%. Also, the most bewildering and surprising thing is that it is the people who we expect most assistance and support from and who fail to fulfill the responsibility of providing that support as required by Islam, their methods and religious obligation, who on the contrary, as a result of their own misunderstanding, have gone on to voice objections due to the significance of their social standing in a way that will cause idleness in the Risale-i Nur's service. They have objected to an explanation of a truth I do not know which matter or which ayah it relates to. At the very most, it is likely to be about a matter from the private section of the Qur'anic indications titled The First Ray. This weak friend of yours declares to that old friend, the intuitive, and yourself that, through the effulgence of the Qur'an of miraculous exposition, the new sight expresses such logical and truthful evidences regarding the truths of Iman that it compels not only Muslim scholars, but even the most obstinate European philosophers to submit. The Qur'an of miraculous exposition honors the Risale-i Nur, which is its spiritual miracle in this age, with indications and elusive expressions of ayats pointing to its value and significance. Like the news foretold by Imam Ali radiallahu anh and the great Gauss Qaddesallahu Sirru, it uses elusive and implied references within the levels of indicative meaning mana-i ishari. Such a reference is befitting its miraculousness and is a necessity of the miraculous eloquence of that speech from the realm of the Ghaib. In Eskişehir prison, at a terrible time when we were in most need of a sacred solace, it was said by way of a spiritual warning, you present the previous Evliya as witnesses for the acceptance of the Risale-i Nur. However, through the mystery of وَلَا رَتْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ, it is the Qur'an who has the greatest authority. Does the Qur'an accept the Risale-i Nur? What does it say about it? Confronted with this strange question, I sought assistance from the Qur'an. It then occurred to me within an hour that of these 33 ayats, within the level of their indicative meaning, which is a secondary level of its explicit meaning, there are particular elusive references pointing to the Risale-i Nur, which has a share within the totality of their indicative meaning. Within an hour, I felt strong evidence of its inclusion and privilege. I witnessed some parts in detail and some parts in brief. Without any doubt or suspicion, I was absolutely convinced. No uncertainty or scruples remained. So, with the intention of protecting the belief of the people of Iman with the Risale-i Nur, I wrote that certain conviction of mine to my elect brothers and gave it to them on the condition that it be kept in private. In that Risale, we are not saying this is the explicit meaning of the ayah so that Hojas can argue fihi nazarun. This is your interpretation. We also do not claim that this meaning is the totality of its indicative meaning. What we say is that there are many levels within the explicit meaning of ayat. One of these levels is the indicative and elusive meanings. This indicative meaning too has a totality and it has particulars which look to every century. In this century, the Risale-i Nur too is a particular member within the totality of the levels of indicative meaning. We have presented signs and evidences through the principles of Jifr and Riyaz, which has been for a long time prevalent among scholars, demonstrating the deliberate reference that highlights the important role it would play. Far from offending the explicit meaning of the Qur'anic ayah, it serves to demonstrate its miraculousness and eloquence. This type of sign from the Ghaib cannot be objected to. One who cannot deny the countless extractions from the infinite signs of the Qur'an by the people of truth cannot and should not deny this either. However, one may object and consider it as bewildering and unfathomable as to how such an important work can come about through the hands of an unimportant man such as myself. They should then consider that to create a cedar tree as large as a mountain from a seed as small as a grain of wheat is a demonstration of divine grandeur and power. In the same way, a work like this to come about through the hands of people like us at a time of extreme need, in absolute impotence and poverty, one would be compelled to agree that this demonstrates the comprehensiveness of divine mercy. By the sacredness and dignity of the Risale-i Nur, I assure you and those objectors that these signs, elusive news, and indications by the Awliya have always led me to offer thanks and praise to Allah and seek forgiveness for my faults. I present to you my life of 20 years before the eye of the public as proof that not for a minute has this ever given my evil commanding nafs and egotism and selfishness to be boastful and proud. Indeed, together with this truth, humans are prone to errors, forgetfulness, and faults. I have many faults that I am not aware of. Maybe my thoughts are mixed up and mistakes have entered the Risales. Nevertheless, under the veil of substituting the sacred verse of the Qur'an with human translation and omit words in the new alphabet, the explicit meaning of the ayat are now being manipulated through the perverse interpretations and fraudulent alterations of the people of misguidance. To as though ignore this, and in a way that will cause idleness in his service of Iman, raise objections against the helpless wronged man who has explained a point of miraculousness in order to strengthen the Iman of his brothers, surely, let alone such people, even those with the minutest level of fairness could not object to this. It personally bewilders me that the man who has raised the objection is a student of Sheikh Fahim, Qaddesallahi Sirru, who is my most important ustad in the chain of knowledge and is a student of Imam Rabbani radiallahu an, who I am connected to the most. He is someone most expected to overlook my mistakes and my past mixed life and its unruliness, and run to my assistance with all his strength. However, it is with great regret that we have come to hear how an objection originated by him has caused idleness to some of our weak brothers and has added fuel to the cause of the people of misguidance. We anticipate that this old man will quickly work to repair this by getting rid of his wrong thoughts and support us through his dua and effective advice. I will add to this by declaring that, despite having millions of self-sacrificing followers, the strong and truthful spiritual ways and methods in this age have been seemingly defeated by the terrible attacks of the people of misguidance. Someone like me, who is semi-literate, lacks support, lives under constant surveillance in police custody, who is the target of a terrifying and multifaceted propaganda and is prone to be disliked by everyone, can never have ownership over the Risale-i Nur, which has successfully withstood against misguidance, has millions of members, and is far superior, more powerful, and resilient than all those specialized methods. These works therefore cannot be the result of his personal qualities. He cannot boast about them. Rather, divine mercy has bestowed a direct spiritual miracle of the all-wise Qur'an in this age. This person has reached out to that Qur'anic gift with 1,000 of his friends. The first duty of interpreting them has somehow been allocated to him. Evidence that it is not the product of his thought, knowledge, and intelligence is that the Risale-i Nur has parts, some of which were written in 6 hours, some within 2 hours, some in 1 hour, and some in 10 minutes. I swear that, even with the old Sayyid's ability of memorization, I could not produce with my own thoughts in 10 hours those works that took only 10 minutes. The Risale written in 1 hour, I am unable to produce in 2 days with my own intelligence and ability. The Risale on the 13th word, which was the product of 6 hours' work, neither myself and neither the most investigative religious philosophers can ever complete such research even in 6 days, and so on. This means, although we are bankrupt, each of us have become heralds and servants of a rich jewelry store. May Almighty Allah grant us and all pure and sincere students of the Risale-i Nur in this sacred service lasting success through His effulgence and generosity. Amin. Said Nursi. From Lama'at, the glimpse. An explanation of the 3 ways indicated at the end of Surah Fatiha. O brother full of aspiration, take your imagination and come with me. See, we are in a land, we look around. There is no one to see us. A layer of black cloud has settled on the high mountains like tempests. The cloud has covered too the whole face of the earth. It forms a solid ceiling, but its 6 sides are open, so the sun is visible. We are under the cloud, the darkness oppresses us. The distress is suffocating, the airlessness is killing us. Now, we have 3 ways open to us. One is the luminous world. I beheld it once, that metaphorical land. Yes, I came here once before. I have passed down these 3 ways. The first way is this. Most people take it. It is the way of the world. It invites us to travel it. See, we are on our way. We are going on foot. See how the sea sands of the desert scorch us with their anger, threatening us. See the mountainous waves of this ocean. They too are angry at us. Now, thanks be to Allah, we have emerged on the other side. We can see the face of the sun. But only we know the difficulties we have suffered. Oh, we have come back to this wasteland beneath this dark clouded ceiling. What we need is the eye of the heart to illumine things. A wondrous light-filled world. If you have amazing courage, together we will enter this way so fraught with dangers. Our second way, we shall plunge through the grounds of nature and pass to the other side. Or we shall pass through a natural tunnel, trembling. I had passed by this road some time ago without pretense, in complete supplication. But on that occasion, I had with me a substance to smelt and rend the grounds of nature. The third way, the Qur'an had given me that miraculous evidence. Brother, stick close behind me and have no fear. See, here await us tunnel-like caves and underground torrents. They will let us pass. Don't let these awesome lifeless beings of nature scare you in the slightest. For behind its sour face is the smiling countenance of its compassionate owner. I perceived that radium-like substance of the Qur'an through its light. There, you see, we have come out in the light-filled world. See this delicate earth, this soft and gentle space. Now, look here, raise your head. See, it has drawn its head to the skies, rent the clouds, leaving them far below. This tuba tree is but the Qur'an. It has spread its branches everywhere. We must hang onto this branch which is trailing down so that it can raise us up. That heavenly tree on earth, one of its personifications is the illustrious Sharia. That is to say, we ascended to these worlds of light in that way without difficulty. We were shaken by no distress. Since we went wrong, we will return to our former place and find the right way. See our third way. Over the mountains hovers a royal falcon. He is reciting the azan to the whole world. See, the sovereign muezzin Muhammadul Hashimi alayhi salatu wassalam is summoning humanity to the luminous world of light. He enjoins supplication and salat. See the mountains of guidance, how it has rent the clouds. The mountain of the Sharia has raised its head to the skies. How it has adorned the face and eye of the earth. Now we must depart from here in the aircraft of endeavor. The light and breeze are there. The light of beauty is there. Now here is the Uhud of divine unity, Tawheed, that mighty mountain. Here is the Judy of Islam, that wholesome mountain. Here is the mountain of the moon, the Qur'an of Azhar, the pure water of the Nile flows from that sublime source. Take a drink of its sweet water. فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ وَآخِرُ دَعْوَانَا أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Friends, now cast away your imagination and down your reason. The first two ways are those of Ma'dub, those who have received your anger, and Da'alin, those who have gone astray. Their perils are numerous. Their autumn and summer are for them a perpetual winter. Only 1 out of 100 is saved, like Plato and Socrates. The third way is easy and is a straight path that is closer. Weak and strong are equal. Everyone may take it. The most comfortable is this, to be either martyr or ghazi. Now we come to the conclusion. Yes, the genius of science, the first two ways are its path and school. As for the guidance of the Qur'an, the third way is its straight path. It will take us there. Allahumma ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqima sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim ghayri al-maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. All true pain is in misguidance, and all true pleasure in belief. A mighty truth robed in imagination. O prudent fellow traveler, O dear friend, if you want to see clearly the differences between the luminous way of the Sirat Mustaqim and the gloomy path of Ma'dub and Dalin, come, take your suspicion and mount your imagination. Together we shall go to the darkness of non-existence. We shall visit that vast grave, that city of the dead. A pre-eternal all-powerful one, Qadir Ezeli, took us out of that place of darkness with his hand of power, mounted us on existence, and sent us to this world, this city without pleasures. Here we have now come to the world of existence, this fearful desert. Our eyes too have opened, we have looked in the 6 directions. Firstly, we look in front of us seeking favors, but tribulations and pains are ahead. They assault us like enemies. We were frightened at that and held back. We looked to left and right to the elements of nature, seeking assistance. But we can see that their hearts are hard, merciless. They grind their teeth, they glower angrily. They heed neither plea nor plaint. Like creatures confused, we despairingly lift our gazes upwards. Seeking help, we look to the stars in the skies. We see them threatening us awesomely. As though each was a bomb, having shot out of their cases, they are speeding through space. But somehow or other they do not obstruct each other. If by accident one confused its way, this manifest world will be blown to pieces, may Allah forbid. It is tied to coincidence, no good can come of this either. In despair we turned back our gaze from that direction, overcome by grievous bewilderment. We bowed our heads, hid ourselves in our bosoms, and looked to ourselves. We consider and study ourselves. Now we hear the shoots of myriad needs coming from our wretched selves. The cries of thousands of wants issue forth. While expecting solace, we take fright. No good came from that either. Seeking refuge, we entered our consciences, we look within it, and we wait for a solution. Alas, again we can find none. It is we who must help the conscience. For in it are thousands of hopes, turbulent emotions, wild desires, spread throughout the universe. They tremble with all of them and cannot offer help. Compressed between existence and non-existence, those hopes stretch out to pre-eternity on one side and post-eternity on the other. They have such breadth, if they swallowed the world, the conscience still would not be satisfied. Wherever we have recourse on this grievous road, we encounter misfortune. For the ways of Ma'dub and Dalin are thus. Chance and misguidance, that is the view of that road. It is we who followed it. This is how we fell into our present state. Even now, we temporarily forget its beginning and end, the maker and resurrection of the dead. It is worse than hell. It scorches more terribly. It crushes our spirits. For we had recourse to those 6 directions, but this state resulted. It fills us with awesome terror, making us shudder with impotence, disquiet, and apprehension, orphanhood, and despair, so that it wrecks our conscience. Now we will form a front opposite each of the directions and try to repulse them. We first resort to our own strength, but alas, we see that it is powerless, weak. Secondly, we turn to silence the needs of the nafs, but alas, we see that they cry out unceasingly. Thirdly, we cry out for help seeking a savior, but no one hears or responds. So, we suppose everything to be hostile, everything strange. Nothing consoles our hearts, nothing gives a sense of security or true pleasure. Fourthly, the more we look at the celestial bodies, the more they fill us with fright and awe, vexing the conscience, alienating it, tormenting the mind, filling it with delusions. So, my brother, that is the way and nature of misguidance. On it we experienced all the darkness of unbelief, kufr. Come, now, my brother, we will turn again to that non-being. Again we will come. This time our way is a straight path and the way of belief. Our guides and leader are divine favor and the Qur'an, the falcon that overflies the centuries. At one time, the pro-eternal sovereign's mercy and grace willed our existence. His power brought us forth, graciously mounting us on the law of His will, completing us stage after stage. Then it compassionately clothed us in the garment of excellence, bestowed on us the rank of trust, the mark of disease supplication, and the salat. All these stages and behaviors are places of affection on our long road. To make our road easy, divine determining issued a decree and pasted it on the page of our foreheads. Wherever we go, with whichever group we are guests, we are welcomed in truly brotherly fashion. We give of our belongings, and we receive from theirs. Love, born of commerce, they nourish us, adorn us with gifts, then they see us on our way. Now, at last we have come to the door of the world. We hear a noise. See, we have arrived at the earth. We have stepped foot in the manifest world, the festival of the most merciful, the clamorous habitation of man. We know nothing at all. Our guide and leader is the will of the merciful one. Our guide's deputy are our delicate eyes. We open our eyes and let it roam in the world. Do you recall the first time we came? We were strangers, orphans. Our enemies were many. We did not know our protector. Now, with the light of belief, we have a strong pillar against those enemies, a point of support, a protector who repulses the enemies. And that is belief in Allah, which is the light of our spirits, and light of our lives, and spirit of our spirits. Now, our hearts are easy. It disregards its enemies, not even recognizing them. When on our first journey, we entered our consciences, we heard thousands of cries and laments and complaints. It was due to them that we were overcome by misfortune. For our hopes and desires, capacity and senses always desire eternity. But we did not know the way to it, hence our ignorance of the way and their lamentations and cries. However, all praise be to Allah, this time we have found a point of succor which always gives life to our innate disposition and hopes. It makes them take flight for eternity. Our innate disposition shows them the way from that point and seeks help, drinks down the water of life and races to its perfection through that point of succor, that encouraging, elusive symbol. The second pole of belief is affirmation of the resurrection of the dead. Everlasting happiness is the pearl of that shell. The proof of belief, the Qur'an, the conscience, a human mystery. Now, raise your head and take a look at the universe. Speak a word with it. It appeared formidable on our former way. Now, it is smiling, laughing on every side, coil winking and blinking. Do you not see? Our eyes are like bees. They fly everywhere in the garden of the universe, around the profusion of flowers, each flower extending them a delectable drink. Each also offers solace, love, and a feeling of familiarity. They too take and bring the honey of testimony. They make honey flow forth from honey, that mysterious falcon. As our gaze alights on the motions of the heavenly bodies, or the stars, or suns, they show up the Creator's wisdom and the manner of His instruction and the manifestation of His mercy, making them take flight. It is as though the sun is speaking with us, saying, "My brothers, don't feel frightened or dismayed. You are welcome. How good you have come. This dwelling place is yours. I am but a candle holder. I am like you, but a pure, obedient, unrebellious servant. Out of His utter mercy, the single and eternally besought One subjected me so that I would serve you with pure light. Light and heat are from me, supplication and prayer from you. Now look at the moon and the stars and the seas. Each says in its own tongue, 'Welcome. It's good you have come. Don't you recognize us?' Look through the mystery of cooperation, through the science of the order. It says, 'We too are all servants, mirrors of the all-glorious One's mercy, so don't worry, don't be dismayed by us. Don't feel frightened or spectacle at the trembling of the earth and cries of heavens, for within them are the rolling of recitations, the clamor of glorifications, the tumult of supplication and entreaty. The all-glorious One who sent us to you holds their reins in His hands. The eye of Iman reads on their faces the signs of mercy, each proclaims them. O believer with a wakeful heart, let our eyes rest a little. We will hand over our sensitive ears to the blessed hands of belief in their place. We will send them to the world to listen to its delightful refrains. Those sounds of universal mourning and lamentations of death imagined on our first way are now all supplications and orisons, cries of glorification. Listen to the murmuring of the air, the twittering of chicks, the pattering of the rain, the plashing of the seas, the crashing of thunder, the cracking of stones, all are meaningful refrains. The humming of the air, the chanting of the thunder, the strains of the waves are all recitations of grandeur. The chanting of the rains, the warbling of birds are all glorifications of mercy, metaphors to reality. The sounds of things are all sounds of existence. I too exist, they say. The silent universe suddenly finds voice. Don't suppose us to be lifeless, O chattering man. A tasty morsel or droplet of rain, the birds break into song. With their different voices, their tiny songs, they applaud mercy, alight on bounties, and take flight with their thanks. Implicitly they say, O beings of the universe, my brothers, how fine are our circumstances, we are tenderly nourished, we are happy at our lot. With beaks upstretched, they scatter their songs on the air. In its entirety, it is as though the universe is a lofty orchestra. Through the light of belief, its recitations, its glorifications are heard. For its wisdom rejects the existence of chance, its order repulses it, in unison they banish doubt. O fellow traveler, we are living now this world of similitudes, stepping down from imagination and fancy. We shall alight in the arena of reason, evaluate them, and close down those ways. Our first way, full of pain, that of Ma'dub and Dalin, inflicts suffering on the innermost conscience and severe pain. Consciousness chose this. We became the reverse of conscious. Also, we have to be saved from it, and we need to be, so the pain can either be pacified or it can be numbed. We can't endure it otherwise. No one heeds the cries for help. Guidance heals, but fancies block out feelings. This requires solace, it requires faint unmindfulness, it requires occupation, it requires entertainments, enchanting desires. Then it can deceive the conscience and put the spirit to sleep so it feels no pain. Otherwise, that grievous suffering scorches the conscience, the painful cry is unendurable, the torment of despair cannot be borne. This means, however far one deviates from the straight path, to that extent one is affected in that way, causing the conscience to cry out. Within every pleasure is a pain, a taint. That means the glittering civilization, which is a mixture of fancy, lust, amusement, and licentiousness, is a deceptive panacea for the ghastly distress arising from misguidance, a poisonous narcotic. Oh my dear friend, on our second way, that light-filled road, we pursued a state of mind in which life becomes a source of pleasure, pains become joys. We understood from this that it imparts a state to the spirit varying in degree according to the strength of belief. The body receives pleasure through the spirit receives pleasure through the conscience. An immediate pleasure is felt in the conscience, a spiritual paradise is present in the heart. To think of it is to open it up, while consciousness is marked by its secrets. Now, however much the heart is aroused, the conscience stimulated, the spirit stirred, it increases the pleasure, transforming fire into light and winter into spring. The doors of paradises open up in the conscience, the world becomes a paradise. Within it our spirits take flight, soaring like kites, entreating, praying. O dear fellow traveler, farewell for now. Come, let us offer a prayer together, then we shall part to meet again. Allahumma ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Amin.